Hello guys, it's Marilli and welcome to my channel, and today we're gonna try something a little bit new and fresh for the channel. I feel like making a little PvP like breakdown video on new teams and some old teams, of course, just so you guys can have a better understanding of these teams, just because you guys love asking so many questions about these teams, how they work, how best gear to use on certain teams, and I'm here to answer you. So today we're gonna be using, or breaking down the one Escanor team. Is a pretty fun team, so hit that like, subscribe button, if you want some more, or comment down below if you want some more. Tell me what teams you would like me to break down for you guys, because I know a lot of you guys love some of my teams that I showcase, like sometimes my Tarmio Blue Guild teams, y'all love those type of teams, like, or regular meta teams like Lost Fame Meliodas. And I'll try to help you guys understand like the best gear for a certain type of team and for different situations, because it all depends on you and where you're at in PvP. I will also be telling you guys different counter teams you can use for this type of team if you want to be anti-meta, and also discuss a bit about some optional units that some people might not have just because of this team has a limited unit, which is Gringotha. So I'm gonna tell you additional optional units you can use if you don't have Gringotha, of course. But first, let's see why Escanor is just so good by looking at his skills, his cards, its passive, and also his stats. One Escanor Invincible Carnation Festival unit for the 1.5 anniversary for JP currently. The one Escanor is basically a high DPS damage unit who just cares about attacking your enemies. His passive is the hero gains a buff which increases all stats by 6% at the start of the ally turn. When there are 3 stacks of this effect, remove debuffs and becomes immune to debuffs for 1 turn. After that, removes the stack until 1 stack is left, then stack the buff accordingly again. So basically this makes it seem like basically like the anime where at noon he becomes the strongest, then as the time goes by he gets weaker and weaker. So that's basically what this pass is basically saying, which you can get up to 3 stacks, which is 18% of your increase of all stats, making you do a lot more damage, especially if you have paired with other units that can boost up your attack related stats and of course like that. Let's look at his skills, which he has Super Slash, which inflicts damage equal to 200% attack on one enemy. Rank 2 inflicts 300% of attack on one enemy. Rank 3 inflicts damage equal to 500% of attack on one enemy. Now if you don't know what influx does, it's additional 0.8% damage per 1% of HP. So basically, the more HP that you have, which is like 100%, not like you have like HP set, but basically how much you have altogether, which is 100% of HP, you're gonna do a lot more damage. And if you have 80% of your HP, you're gonna do a little bit less damage. 50%, you're gonna do a lot less damage, of course. So don't think that this is something about enemies HP. It's about your HP. So if your HP is super low, you're not gonna do that much damage. And this is not where you get boosted if you have like an HP set or anything, like something like a Meliodas. It just all depends on your HP. So if you're 100%, even if you're using attack set, you're gonna do probably the same amount of damage that you would if you had like the same attack as an HP set, of course. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to use like an HP set to do more damage. And then we have his second card, which is Supernova. Inflict damage equal to 240% of attack on one enemy. Inflicts damage equal to 360% of attack on one enemy. And on rank 3, inflicts damage equal to 600% of attack on one enemy. So as you can see, the Escanor can do a significant amount of damage to the opponent, especially when his stacks card starts coming up. And we also have his ultimate, which inflicts damage equal to 720% attack on one enemy, then inflicts the additional death damage, which inflicts 20% of the final damage as additional damage. And we have the multipliers, which it goes by 72%. So at max, which is 1080%, you'll have 100% death multiplier. So if you're doing 600k damage to your opponent from the ultimate, then the next and they die, then the next one will get, your next enemy will get the full damage, which is like 600k to them. That is kind of busted, especially if you have dupes. but obviously the Escanor doesn't really need those most of the time, just because of his high damage with his attack card. So if you do want to use like 1 out of 6, that'll be perfectly fine for PvP for now, but it'll be nice to have like multiple dupes on the one Escanor. You also got the Super Awakening bonuses, which on level 1 you get a recovery rate and crit resistance. That's pretty nice. Level 2, crit defense and crit damage 20%. Level 3, regeneration 20%, crit defense 9%. Okay, that's nice. And level 4, it's kind of like the big one, which is has attack, defense, and crit chance, because you really want him to crit. So you want to probably have Merlin Link on him as well, just so he can crit your opponents, because his crit damage is pretty high. On base stats is 160%, and when he increases increasing all stats by 6%, obviously he's gonna get a lot higher with crit damage. So the more you can crit, the better your Escanor is going to be. Okay, so we are going to be looking at his stats with the costumes on. I'm using HP / crit damage for this example. Obviously, I'll tell you the best gears in a sec. Basically, we got the one Escanor with 73.5% of pierce rate on the top, 33% of endurance or patience, whatever translation you want to call it, on as 33%. His regeneration is 22%, 71% for crit chance, 222.5% of crit damage. I'm using crit damage gear, so it'll pretty much be 202.5 if I didn't have it. And then I have for crit resistance, I have 59%, crit defense is 106%, recovery rate is 127%, and life steal is at 18%. And this is just UR, it's all of the UR costume that you get. This is the guys, the SSR and all that. That's all stats you get with all the costumes, of course. Now, a lot of people have trouble deciding what gear should I use the one Escanor for. Now, honestly, my honest opinion, for the one Escanor, it's going to be a crit damage set most likely, but I'd have no problem with a defense set as well on him, just because of if you have him paired with Green Gother, obviously your attack related stats will get boosted, which is your crit chance, your crit damage, your pierce, and that's pretty much going to help in your attack, of course, which is going to help you. And because you using Green Gother, you'll be able to increase your crit chance, which is going to then cause you to crit more, and also your crit damage, which is going to allow you to do more damage as you crit. And because his attack also, that's more attack for you, and that means your Escanor is going to do a lot more damage just because Green Gother is with you. See, I personally been using a lot of HP / crit damage just because my Escanor is 1 out of 6. Basically 1 out of 6. I just did that just so you know I can out CC my opponents a lot better. I don't have to worry about getting out CC as much. If I was using an attack crit damage on a 1 out of 6 Escanor, if I had like 6 out of 6 the one Escanor, I'll probably lean more towards the attack / crit damage set, just because I hate getting out CC. And basically when you have the one Escanor versus the one Escanor, it becomes a pretty much a CC battle on who the one Escanor wins in the CC battle. And that pretty much is deciding the game. But you know, there's plenty of people who like to play less aggressive, which is like mostly the HP / crit damage set, but you can just use the rank up, first turn rank up your Goddess Elizabeth, go for the shield and then stun, or you can go for the stun, cause Green Gother AoE debuff pretty much. And then there's some people who like to play more aggressive. They like aggressive Escanor, where they just like to attack first and just throw up a shield. It all depends on what you like to do, what your play style is. That's all I can say pretty much. Alright, so since we're done talking about Escanor gears and all that good stuff, basically in PvP it's 3 or 4 HP sets. I know it sounds boring, but yeah, 3 of your units have to be HP sets, and on this type of team 2 are already guaranteed HP, which is Goddess Elizabeth and Green Gother. So you have to decide between on if Escanor is going to be HP 1, or is Lost Fan Meliodas, who's coming out as a sub, is going to be HP 1, because you don't want to lose out on CC battle, because everyone in PvP use CC food pretty much. I see 99% use CC food and barely any use like, and I guess 1% like old food and dodge food, but everyone uses CC food. So choose one of those two for HP set. Most people probably gonna choose like attack set for Escanor and then HP set for Lost Fame Meliodas. So keep that in mind. Just because Lost Fame Meliodas is a subunit, I usually do it the other way around. Just because I don't have an HP set for Meliodas ready. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's talk about optimal units you will need to use if you don't have Green Gotha for some reason. Alright, first let's start about rank ups. What's the other rank up we got in PvP other than Green Gotha? And that's Red Gotha. If you care about getting your silver cards and gold cards pretty fast, Red Gotha would be next best thing for a rank up unit, obviously. But the sad thing about it is Red Gotha passive is hard to activate in PvP just because if he takes any type of damage, which can be caused from a bleed, a poison, the Hellbrom sudden death debuff thing where you just get hit with damage. It's just any type of damage. It could be one damage and his passive will stop activating, which is why it's hard to use his passive, which is why Green Gotha is like the best one since his passive is pretty easy to activate. But if you're talking about trying to crit or increase your damage, there's also Udosiel, which basically what his passive is if he has higher CC than an opponent, then their defense related stats would be lowered by 40%. So you want to have like HP / defense on your Udosiel and also max costumes. You can also use them on par with Death Pierce, which can also reduce the crit resistance and crit defense of the enemy. So people usually try to use those on top of each other. So Ludociel and then sub Death Pierce. That's probably gonna lower your CC, but a lot using Death Pierce. But I mean, it's a good option as well. Or you can go overboard and just use the Nagato special and just have like Death Pierce sub Green Gotha, Ludociel with Escanor, and you just use the crit Nagato special, something crazy like that if you care about DPS and all that and not scared of Goddess Elizabeth revive. But yeah, that's pretty much all the optimal units. Also, there's also for subposition, because Lost Fame Meliodas is the sub unit. So basically another sub can be Merlin or something like Point Shop Zelda, which I have been seeing in JP a lot. So yeah, those are two good options for sub if you don't have maxed out Lost Fame Meliodas. Yes, counters. I have done a video on one of the Escanor counters, which is pretty much the most common one as people been seeing. You've probably seen plenty of YouTubers talk about this one. And I also have a video if I put it on the cards as well if you guys you want to check it out, which is actually Green Small Deanne. Now the thing with Green Small Deanne is she has a taunt that increases her defense related stats. It's like 80% on bronze and silver, 120%, and gold 200%. And basically like which Deanne will go first, because Escanor pretty much do a lot of damage once he crits. If Escanor cannot crit, then you cannot win. Because if he's not critting, he's not going to do that much damage as you would think. He's not going to reach those 200Ks like he usually be. So you just want to use Green Deanne's taunt on the one Escanor, and I promise you they're going to be pretty much helpless the entire game, just because they have so many single attackers, and the only AoE unit they have is going to be Green Gotha. So just use Green Deanne, Small Deanne, and you're probably going to need the one Escanor as well. That's pretty much what I've been seeing a lot of people use, which is the one Escanor, Green Small Deanne, Green Gotha, and pretty much Goddess Elizabeth as a subunit. Or you can use Merlin if you like. They're both amazing options as well. It all depends on you at the end of the day, what you like to do, what's your playstyle. Are you more aggressive? Are you more passive? And then there's also the other option, which is Gil. SR Green Gil has been also a lot of people's back units just because of his passive, which increased all of allies' defense related stats by 30%, which if your defense related stats are increased, that means you're going to have more defense, which means Escanor is going to crit you a lot. Like I said before, Escanor seems like to do the most damage once he starts critting. If he doesn't crit, you're pretty much going to be pretty safe for the most part. Obviously, as he keeps hitting you, you're going to lose HP, of course. But if you have a unit that like can taunt or can lower his attack related stats, you're gonna be pretty much fine. Like another counter for the one Escanor has been seeming like an S Rosa Tarmiel team, which has Gil, of course, because you want to lower the one Escanor attack related stats while also boosting up your defenses as well, just so the one doesn't crit you. Because once he starts critting, you're pretty much done. Because all of them use crit damage, so you know, if you can make sure that they don't crit you, you're pretty much gonna be good, guys. That's it. Because S Rosa has a commandment which can decrease attack related stats by 20% for 3 turns upon damaging an enemy with a skill. So if you have that, you can pretty much be good until the one gets, of course, his 3 stacks, which he gets immunity afterward. So you want to kill him right before then. It should be pretty simple or easy, especially if you're using Tarmiel team, because that team is pretty busted. I love that team. And that's pretty much all the counters you will probably need for the one Escanor. Alright, so that'll be the end of the video. Hopefully this helps some of you guys figure out like what types of gears you would like to use for the one festival Escanor team. It's a pretty fun team to use, and hopefully y'all might be able to break down other types of PvP teams for you guys, especially some teams that you guys just don't understand on why I do this, why I do that, and maybe go even deeper into like more like playstyles. Even though the playstyles can get a little bit tricky, it all depends on the type of person you are. If you're more aggressive, more passive. But hopefully you guys enjoy this video. You know, hit the like, subscribe, comment, all that down below. Comment some type of teams you would like to see me break down and analyze. It's pretty good. Like I just wanted to try something a little bit different, you know, have some fun, because you know it's sometimes hard for me to explain sometimes the teams in my PvP video just because I'd be so focused. So I at least want to at least give a chance to explain this type of team, especially since it's so new and a lot of people do want to use the one Escanor. So you know, hopefully you guys enjoy your day, man. It's Marilli, and I'm out. Peace.